All right, guys, today we're going to do a short review about slope and linear relationships and how to identify the slope, how to identify the y-intercept, and then how to write your equation. So we're going to start very simply with this equation, y equals 3x plus 4, which follows our format of y equals mx plus b. And m is going to stand for our slope or rate of change, or could also be known as your unit rate. And B is going to be your starting value or your y-intercept. Okay? And this is going to be important because we're going to be using this format to tell us stuff about what's happening in the equation. X is going to be our x-coordinate right here. And y is going to be the thing we measure. So that's going to be our dependent coordinate or dependent variable. X is the thing we change. It's our independent coordinate, independent variable, and y is going to be the dependent, the thing that we measure. All right. So y and x are going to be places on our grid line here. M is going to be our slope. How much does x go up? Every time x goes up, how much does y go up? And B is going to be that point at which it intersects the y-axis. So we know our slope here is 3. It's also known as our rate of change or our unit rate. As x changes by 1, y goes up or down by this amount every single time. So as x goes up by 1, this changes by this much. As x goes up by 1, it changes by that same amount each and every time. Okay? So and then we have the y-intercept, which is the point at which the line crosses the y-axis. It's also when x is 0, what is the value of y? It's also known as our starting value. Okay? If we know these two things, our y-intercept and our unit rate, if we go over 1 and we count how much we went up, 1, 2, 3, we know that our unit rate is going to be 3. Let's see if that holds true when we go the other way. 1, 2, 3, and over 1. So over 1 and up 3. So our unit rate is 3. And our y-intercept is 4. And once we have that established, we can write our equation, y equals 3x plus 4. So it's very easy to do. Establish what the unit rate is by going over 1 and finding out how far you go up. Over 1, how far you go up. And if that is the same each time, that's going to be your slope, your rate of change, or your unit rate. Okay? This is the constant amount by which y goes up as x changes by 1. Then we find our y-intercept and we plug those numbers into our equation. So let's look at that a little more closely. Here we have a number of lines and we have a chart to fill in. And what we're going to do is we're going to take line A, and the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to establish our slope. We're going to find where it crosses the y-intercept. We're going to go over 1 and find out how far up we had to go. So we go over 1. Oh, we only go up 1. Let's check it again. Over 1, up 1. Over 1, up 1. So our slope, rate of change, unit rate, is going to be 1. Our y-intercept is that point at which it crosses the y-axis. Here's your y-axis, y to the sky, x side to side. Okay? X side to side, y to the sky. So where's our y-intercept? We count up 1, 2, 2. Now that we know our equation, or our slope and y-intercept, we can plug these in where they belong. It becomes y equals, what's our m stands for slope, 1x plus our y-intercept, 2, and write our equation. Let's look at line B. This one's a little more difficult. I go over 1, but I don't go up even 1. 1's way up here. I didn't go up 1. So I go over 1 again, and I go up another, and well, it looks like I'm about halfway. So I've gone 2 and I'm up half. I go over a third, and I'm up only 3, and then I had to go over 4 to go up 1. So this looks like I go over 1, but I only go up a fourth. If I went up, see, this is half. This would be a fourth, 4. So my y-intercept, or my slope, is either going to be 1 over 4. So I went over 4 over 1, and I only got up 1. Or I would write it as 0.25. And I like to think of money. What's 1/4 of a dollar? 25 cents. How would I write that as a decimal? Now, what's my y-intercept? I have to find that point at which it crosses the y-axis. And I can see right there that 0 is here. I went down to -1, so it's -1. Once I have those two established, I go over to my y equals mx plus b, and I plug in, what's my slope? 0.25x plus -1. Okay? Let's do C. C starts here, and we can already see it intercepts the y-axis at the same place as B, so we know that's going to be -1. But as I go over 1, I go up 1, 2, and more than 2, but less than 3. So let's see what that might be. Let's go over 1, and I go up, well, it looks to be about a half. 1, 2, so it looks like we've got 2.5. So we have 2.5 as our slope, so y equals 2.5x plus -1. All right. So watching these videos can help you if you're paying attention to what's going on now. Let's look at D, because this one's a little different. D starts here and goes down. So let's find our y-intercept. That's easy to find. It looks like it's a +5. Y-intercept +5. And then as I go over 1, instead of going up, I'm going down. 1, 2, 3. So how do I represent going down? If I represent going up with positive numbers, I would represent going down with negatives. 1, 2, 3. So -3. Y equals -3x plus 5. It's very important that you follow this pattern of y equals mx plus b and realize that the y-intercept, this point, belongs there, and the slope belongs there. To make that more clear, the y-intercept, the place at which it crosses the y-axis, is b. And your slope is always attached to x, because as x increases, it increases by this amount, m. B stays the same every time. I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions.